figure I should give some backstory on how this all came about. I was living in Oregon at the time, which is also where I'm from. And about 10 years ago, I met a woman on the internet and moved down here. Closed my restaurant up there, or I should say got out of my restaurant up there, and moved down here for other business. I was getting a lot more requests for my writing and that, so I decided to come down here. We ended up moving in. This is the same woman now that's my wife. So Plenty of Fish works. But how this came about is because of 6 months after I moved down here, I was randomly attacked in Laguna Beach. Dealt with traumatic brain injury, lost the ability to speak, read, write for a while. Lost a lot of muscle control, tore all the muscles in my back, shoulder, and neck. After some intensive physical therapy, speech therapy, things like that, I realized my mortality while I was laying in bed. 6.5 years later, I was finally out of the majority of physical therapy, and we were living in a condo in Orange County, South Orange County. After horrible experiences at one condo, we moved to another condo, then to another, and I finally convinced my wife we needed to buy a house. So we were looking around Orange County, but the prices were insane for nothing. And I insisted that we get some property because I also wanted to reduce our expenses by having some food growing. Not necessarily to the extent that I have now, but in general. So after mentioning Riverside, she was like, no, it's a horrible area, blah, blah, blah. And after mentioning it over the next year, she finally decided to come out, and we drove around and we found the La Sierra neighborhood. Now there's several areas out in Riverside now that are really nice, but the La Sierra neighborhood rang with us. It's laid back. It's got a lot of paths, trails, waterways, things like that. And it's just beautiful vistas. You can see. We're surrounded by mountains. We're kind of in a valley here. On the side of a valley. But in the distance, usually over here we can see some snow-capped mountains. You can see the hills close up, but overall, we started the process on the first house. Then we found out that it was a smaller yard, but it had a partial food forest already installed. Not necessarily as a food forest, but as they were just planting trees because they liked edible lands, or lots of fruits, vegetables, things like that. They were doing kind of an edible landscape. We decided, I should say, that we'd move forward on that one. But because they had a lot of hero loans and things like that on it, it just wasn't viable. Hero program is where a solar company or a contractor comes in and says, hey, I'll do your windows, I'll put in solar panels, and then they do $10,000 worth of work and charge you $30,000 or $40,000, but let you pay it off over time. And a lot of people don't realize how scammy it is until they're locked into it. They also have a first lien against your house and everything else. Well, actually, I'll cover solar later. I used to have an alternative energy company, and you can put an entire solar system into your house for less than, a starter system probably $6,500. full system for less than $15,000. It'll power pretty much anything. Anyway, so it goes back to the house. It didn't go through, but that's also how we ended up with Marco, Polo, and Millie, because they were going to move. The couple was moving to Puerto Rico to take care of their mother, who was extremely sick, and we said that, hey, we'll take the house and the dogs. Well, the house fell through. We ended up still taking the dogs, and we're still friends with them. But we ended up going with another house that we got turned down on. It was okay, but it had a nice little cottage thing on it. It had a white picket fence backyard separated from the backyard, so it was an extended yard. It was a really cute place. Not as good as the first one. And then we found this place. Now, this place wasn't even for sale when we found it. I heard a rumor that they were looking to retire and they were possibly going to be moving. So I went up and drug the wife out of the car, and after we had looked at it, we had Google mapped it and Google Earthed it, and found out that it was a much larger piece of property. Yeah, my artichokes have nearly collapsed all the way down. I'm hoping they'll still seed out, though. These are all going to get replanted. I'm going to have a bunch more artichokes next year, and I'm going to plant them in a hole so that as they grow, I'll be able to backfill it and it'll keep it from falling over like they did this year. These are big monsters, too. This is the asparagus that's coming up. Very happy about it. There's some more over there. Oh. Anyway, so ended up with knocking on the door and making an offer, and them accepting our offer while we were standing in their kitchen. The process was supposed to be a 45-day escrow. It became a nightmare. Tried to do it through my VA loan. That was just, VA is just screwing everybody over. Tried doing it flipped it over to FHA, and the lender or the underwriter started whining and just complaining. Anyway, we finally closed on it after it was about 90 days on a 45-day escrow. And we were very lucky because the people, we stayed in communication with them and all that. And there's the pineapples, still trying to grow. Those are just tops I put in. The people worked with us, and we ended up moving in, or taking possession of, actually beginning of October 2017. Besides taking possession, the day we actually moved in, which was late October, the day we moved in, I had a load of wood chips dropped and a load of manure dropped, and I started this entire project. The purpose of this is multiple fold. One is fiscal viability. It's actually going to save us a lot of money in the way of food. Plus, the food is so much better. I hate store-bought. Even the organic crap you can still taste stuff. And most of it doesn't taste right. It's either bulk run, whereas I come out here, I pick a carrot, it tastes like a carrot. I pick a tomato, it tastes like a tomato. I've got all different, I've got over 1,000 different plants growing out here now. And yeah, there's multiples of some, but most of it is varietals. So from there, I ended up beginning this install for the financial and the food aspect. Another is that I wanted to show people that this could be done at a very affordable rate. We've had heat waves. If you're wondering why the sprinkler is on, we've had heat waves for the last 4 days. It's going to be cooler, like 15 degrees cooler tomorrow, or somewhere around there. So I'm just giving everything a nice welcome back to reasonable temperatures drink. Getting it all stabilized so that it can rehabilitate over the next few days. And then we're going to go back into another heat wave, I believe, next week. But that's what, and I only water, I water everything once a month to twice a month. Just do a saturation in areas because I have so much stuff planted in some of these areas. There's probably 500 plants just in this little tiny area right here, at least, I would say. And just giving it a good saturation, then it takes a while to soak in, and it's good to go. After one of the other reasons is, with regards to showing people what I can do, is I always wanted to have a backyard nursery again. I used to do a little bit of it up in Oregon and at a couple of different places, but I never had the space to do stuff. I also want a nice huge outdoor kitchen. That's what those bricks are for, partially. I wanted to do aquaponics systems. I wanted space to be able to work on vehicles. I like working on vehicles. I like doing projects. And I knew my physical capabilities would be limited after a period of time. I knew that I would never fully recover, but I could leave my wife a place that would save her money and that was nice. Later, when I'm dead and gone or completely unable to work, this will actually still bring in an income, from the produce that it provides to the plants that I can sell from here. Not a lot, but it's enough to, keep things rolling. And it's not a high stress aspect. I can do a small farmer's market. I've got a little trailer. Now you can't see it, but it's behind the van over there. Nice little folding trailer that I can haul, set up as a mobile produce stand. And also have live plants. And that's the big thing, is the live plants. I'm focused on only installing live or edible and medicinal plants in the backyard here. Walking back up, getting my Dr. Pepper. Yes, I treat myself to a Dr. Pepper every now and then. Like once every now and then. But now, this may look like a mess. It's a lot less of a mess than it was, though. But what's going to happen is, that is the garden area. It's going to have 6 raised beds with archways for creepers. This eucalyptus is getting taken out. This eucalyptus is potentially getting taken out. If nothing else, it's going to get trimmed so that it thickens up and it doesn't die off, because it had borer weevils, or eucalyptus weevils, or eucalyptus borers in it. And when it got dry, they stopped watering, the prior owners, and it killed that tree off. And then they went over to this tree. So it looks like it's healing, but I don't know. Anyway, so we have the RV space for guests to stay in once I finish it up. This is going to be a yurt or a tiny house. We're going to have the red shed over there. Those will be overnight guests. Right now it's a little grubby, dirty barn for tools, but later it'll actually be a little cute cabin. Then puppies have been working hard. Then we have the shade house down here, and that will actually have a place you can stay in as well, plus the plants will stay there. And then this is going to be a grotto, and it's going to be an open air format with a pergola and a couple of chase lounges for people to be able to camp out in. So it's not much. in the way of money each time, but 20 bucks here, 30 bucks there kind of thing. Plus they get to see how a permaculture design, edible landscape, back to Eden, whatever you want to call it, because, sorry, hiccups, because I'm using dozens of different methods all tied together to make this happen. The wood chips, back to Eden, companion planting, organic natural expansion of plants. It's actually plus some integration with permaculture design, some waterworks. This was a storm drain back here, and now I've tapped into it, and it fills these ponds and gives me a couple 100,000 gallons a year of extra water. Putting in moringa. This is going to be a commercial moringa operation over here at the neighbors. They're letting us use their property, but I'll also have parent plants here. This is our little apple orchard area. It's going to be over here is our pear orchard. Everything on a miniature scale, you might say, is we're actually only on 0.6 acres here, just over half. But in just the area down there, just that area to the red shed, and a few other little tiny spots, I produced about 3,000, or well, I didn't produce it. Plants produced about 3,000 pounds of food last year, just over. There's the electric fence I just put in, keep the dogs back. They've actually, I haven't even started or finished installing it yet, and they're pretty good at about not getting near it. But so having a small property like this, you can estimate, just messing around a little bit, you should be able to bring in about $12,000 a year. If you actually do the format that I'm looking to do, I'm looking at closer to $60,000 or $100,000 a year, just directly off the property, let alone the commercial moringa operation and things like that. Now, with that, there's a lot of work involved. It's not just, take some cuttings, get them rooted, and stick them in pots, then sell them. Though there is a lot of that, because I will be doing, like, I just cut 50 mulberry cuttings, both standard fruiting and also Pakistani. But with that, I also want to create environments and work with people to create full environments of edible landscapes. So this is part of the nursery stock for those projects, that people can come over here and go, oh, I like that one, I want a cutting from it, I want this one, I want that one. And they'll be able to come in and put in their order, and I can package up 30, 40, 50, a couple of hundred different types of plants, whatever they want, and then help them with the install and or design and install of it. But this was all compacted sand when we moved in. It was 99.5% compacted sand and aggregate, which is, aggregate is just gravel. There was no clay, there was no, there was like 0.35% silt, and the rest was minimal biomass. It was not soil, and you go anything below 6 inches and it was like concrete. In fact, they were using it to dump concrete up all through here and asphalt. So I'm pulling out asphalt pieces, but I'm keeping the concrete because it's going to become, I've piled it up, it's part of this berm, but also it's going to become part of the retaining walls, because I'm going to crack out that storm drain and remake it with just rocks so that it'll actually water the entire property across, rather than going into catch ponds or sediment ponds first. Anyway, so 10 years in the making, or in the process of moving down here, and we've been in on the property 18 months, and it went from bare soil, which I'll show some pictures here. Went from bare soil with a few trees that were tiny, like this one right here was a small tree. This lemon was just dilapidated as hell. That grapefruit over there, which is now nice and bushy, was about 3 feet tall. And these eucalyptus were just little wisps. But it's pretty amazing when you can look out across and it's now tree cover. Not much, but it's getting there. And progressively, this will all become a lot of these are standard or full size, and will become canopy trees. Then the next layer is understory, and that. But I'm 18 months into a 5-year design project, so I don't mind a little clutter. I don't mind the irrigation not being exactly where it's supposed to be yet, because there's going to be a line up there, because all along that whole back edge is going to be a wall of pomegranates. Just imagine the amount of pomegranates coming off that alone. That is, I believe that's 125 feet across. So, and pomegranates, pomegranate and pomegranate juice. I'm going to get a commercial juicer to be able to juice a lot of stuff. So, just imagine them all at about that distance apart, which is between 3 and 5 feet. Then a line of moringa behind it, all the way down. And imagine how much juice, you're talking a couple 100 gallons a year of pomegranate juice. Pomegranate juice sells for quite a bit, so farmers markets, nice, natural, all natural pomegranate juice. Same with fresh figs. Same with eucalyptus oil, because I'm going to be getting an extract and getting some of the essential oils, including citrus oil, like lemon, orange oil, all that, naturally distilled. And then I'll have trees between 10 and 20 bucks for a 1 gallon size. I'll have herb packs for, 3 for $1, 2 for 2 packs for $5 or something like that. Sugar cane, which can be extracted. Sorghum, which can be extracted. For both of them for syrup. Loquats, pluots, pluaries, wonderberries, chaya, but grapes and everything else. And in 5 years, when this is fully installed, I'll have over 5,000 different types of edibles, both medicinal, or edible and medicinal, I should say. Over 5,000. This will be a wall of bamboo, which I can do arts and crafts stuff with. I'm very handy, because I'm planning on making a bunch of trellises, some fencing, some archways, a footbridge, a tea house, and off all of that bamboo that's going to be growing in that whole area. 3 different types. Anyway, but the goal is so that woman right there won't have to worry when I'm unable to work, that we'll still have an income coming in, and it'll cover all our bills and actually put money into our pockets so that we can do other things. So fiscal viability, food security, and revenue long term. Plus the health benefits are just massive. Right, Fiona? Right, Fee? How you doing, Fee? What you doing, Fifi? There's Miles. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'm going to start showing more of how this property started out and the pieces that came about for it, and what it took to get it to this phase. As right now, where I'm standing I'm standing on 6 feet. Well, I dropped 6 feet of material here, and dug down after building a 12-foot retaining or hugelkultur. I dug down 3 feet into the bare ground and made a 12-foot wide, 3-foot deep, 125-foot long trench, and backfilled it so it would act as a swale. I backfilled the whole thing. So where the path is pretty much the center of the swale. Anyway, thanks for watching, subscribing, following my Instagram. And if you like what I'm doing, give me a big green thumbs up and share it. And I'll just keep sharing with you my thoughts, projects, pieces of the project, and some of the little tips and tricks that I can help you make your project a little bit easier. Have a great one. Thanks much.